Thank you, everyone, for being here today. Swami A.Parthasarathy has spent over 6 decades of selfless service translating and presenting the subtle philosophy of Vedanta. This philosophy is designed to bring mental solace and prosperity to individuals and society. Early in life, Swami renounced his family's lucrative shipping business to dedicate his life to this cause. As an academic, Swamiji has a multidisciplined academic base with postgraduate degree from London University. He's authored 12 books. His work comprises the purest form of spiritual lecture and literature for self-development. At 92 years, he still follows a daily schedule of studying, yoga, and jogging. He's an accomplished sportsman, playing for his academy's cricket team alongside players that are 1/3 his age. On a personal note, after decades of chasing different knowledge and philosophies in pursuit of happiness, I stumbled upon Swami's writings in the Vedanta Treatise, one of his best-selling books, which led me to my first visit to the Vedanta Academy in India 10 years ago. I was led into a world of spiritual thinking and seeking, not just following. The impact of Vedanta can profoundly change the way a person leads their life, if they are ready for it. Even though Vedanta is part of an ancient tradition, its principles are very much relevant today. It can lead you in a direction of happiness and harmony while enjoying success in your business and personal endeavors. Ultimately, the knowledge of who you really are will lead you to live a more enjoyable and effortless life. As an entrepreneur and a property developer, I am constantly faced with many highs and lows. Vedanta has helped me to significantly reduce life's roller coaster ride and has allowed me to enjoy the journey without getting too involved. Once you learn the principles of Vedanta, you learn to become your own observer. Swamiji teaches us to observe and reflect on experiences and transactions that we have in life, thus not allowing us to get overly excited by the ups and downs, the joys and sorrows that life puts in our paths. Vedanta has been instrumental in providing a perspective that allows one to live a more balanced life. It has taught me to live my own life instead of trying to be someone or something that I am not. One of the most meaningful lessons that I have learned from Swamiji is that instead of chasing peace and happiness in the external world, one must learn to find that happiness internally. Meaning, once you are equipped to find happiness directly and exactly where you are with whatever you have today, you can then pursue future success without being dependent on it for your happiness. On a more personal level, studying the philosophy as Swamiji has presented, it has given me more appreciation for the beautiful life that I have. It has helped me to recognize areas of my own ignorance and to recognize and appreciate the teachers that I have in my own home. Thank you, Swamiji. Without further ado, and after his last visit to La Jolla 9 years ago, I would like to welcome Swami A.Parthasarathy to the stage to address all of us. Thank you very much. Swamiji.
Thank you very much. I'll appreciate this clapping after the lecture. Thank you, Ben. Very kind words. This morning, we are trying to understand how to optimize our business. Whatever we do, how we can be more and more successful in what we do. And also establish a right relationship with the world. These are the two aspects of the discussion today. How do we optimize our business and relationship? There's only one way, and that is to build, to strengthen, to fortify your intellect. So today, throughout the world, including India, people have lost this concept of intellect. Nobody understands, even as I talk now, what is this intellect and what is the relevance in our life. We know what is intelligence. Without intelligence, you will not be sitting here. We send our children, we ourselves have done it, and we send our children to different universities just to gain knowledge, intelligence. I can't think of any institution which focuses on developing the intellect. And without intellect, we are worse than animals. Because animals at least have brute force. We don't have that. So therefore, what is this intellect? If you understand the difference between intelligence and intellect, you have spent the Saturday morning usefully. That's all I need to do. And 65 years I failed. I don't expect to be successful today. You have no concept by the time you go, what is he talking about, intellect? We have an intellect. I don't know what he's talking. Anyway, it's good to listen to him. Many, many places I go to, including this country, there's no dearth of praise. They say, fantastic. His lectures are fantastic. But I didn't understand a word of what he said. I don't blame you. Because this is something different. First time you're hearing in your life, after 30, 40, 50, 60 years. How can you understand this? So, each one of us, every human being, has three equipments. A physical body, which has brought you here. A mind which feels various emotions. Joy, sorrow, hatred, jealousy, passion, affection. All this pertain to the mind. Beyond the mind lies the intellect. There is the capacity to think, to understand, to weigh the pros and cons. That thinking faculty in you, the discerning ability in you, is called the intellect. There are various institutions which provide you with intelligence, knowledge. But no way do they develop the capacity to think. And without thinking, I can't understand how you could do business, how you can conduct yourself in life. Now, what is this intelligence? Intellect versus intelligence. Intelligence is knowledge gained from external agencies, from teachers and textbooks. You get knowledge. You gain intelligence. And with this intelligence, you make a living. You go to any school, you study a particular subject, and you make a living. So intelligence or knowledge gives you the capacity to make a living. But it doesn't teach you how to live, how to conduct yourself in this world. So, intelligence is different from intellect. To use the intelligence that you acquire from the world, you need an intellect. You go to a medical school, you get the knowledge of medicine. But to apply that knowledge in life, you need an intellect. You go to engineering school, you get the knowledge of engineering. But to apply it in life, you need an intellect. Most people, if not all, are quite satisfied with intelligence, and they make a living. How to translate that into life? So millions of doctors have passed through medical school, but one guy found out how to transplant a kidney. How about that? One guy found the cure for tuberculosis. See, you must have heard that I'm 92. When I was 10 years old, I think around that time, 10, 15 years old, they discovered this cure for tuberculosis. Now, nobody bothers about tuberculosis. Those days, it was sure death. Now, today, malignancy, the difference between malignancy and tuberculosis is both are, if you're untreated, is sure death. But you could have a malignant person, a person suffering from malignancy, a cancer, in your own house. You could sleep in the same bed, nothing will happen. But tuberculosis patients, your own son or daughter, your own father or mother has to be shifted to a sanatorium because it's highly contagious. In one shot you can cure it. And you're not, because I don't blame you because you don't know what it is. Because I've gone through that. I didn't go through tuberculosis, but I gone through that era when it was dreaded. Terrible disease. Somebody found a cure for that. So to translate the intelligence into practical life, you need an intellect. Intelligence we need, no doubt. But you've got to have an intellect to translate it to actual living. millions of engineers have passed through engineering school, but one guy bored the Eurotunnel. One guy put up the Panama Canal. I don't know whether any one of you seen the Panama Canal. It's a sight. It's something phenomenal. The huge liner ships go 3 tiers down and go into the other ocean. Otherwise, it takes 40 days. I've seen it myself. 20 minutes, you go to the other ocean. Piece of engineering. Millions and millions of engineers there, but one guy found that out. So what is this intellect? When you're born only with a body. Only the body is born. Then starts the mind, emotions, feelings. A newborn baby can be handled by a nurse. But as the baby grows, it develops feelings. It's the mind that develops. But it wants the mother, not the nurse. It wants certain things and it doesn't appreciate other things. It makes its choices, feelings, liking. The mind develops. Only at the age of 10, 12, depending upon the person, the intellect is born. Intellect in India, South India, they have a ceremony called Upanayanam. Upanayanam it's called Dvijaya, Dvijaya means actually second birth. Actually, you're born fully only at 12. Before that, it's just a body. It's a piece of mass of matter, that's all. Then emotions develop. Only at 12, your full personality is available, not before. Therefore, you are born at the age of 11, 12, not before. So then they start thinking. That's why children start asking, Mom, Dad, how is this? Why is this? What is that? If you are an intelligent parent, you will teach the child. But most children, particularly in India, they choke them up. Shut up. Goes on asking questions. You got to encourage, you got to teach them. The problem that you have is you yourself don't know. How can you answer them? So therefore, friends, a human being is constituted of a body, a mind, and an intellect. If you don't develop the intellect, nobody develops the intellect. You go to the best school, what is it called? Ivy school. There's only I and we. It teaches you ego, how I and we. Ivy school. There's no chance of developing the intellect. Therefore, you could be a master's, you could be a PhD, you could have everything. One lady in Boston, American lady, she used to attend the lectures that I gave. I'm talking about 40 years back. She took an appointment. She wanted to bring her husband. Her husband came. And there was a furor in the house. My host came running to me. He said, Swami, you know who has come? Who has come? I said, there's a lady. No, her husband. And she said, yes, she's bringing her husband. What of it? Oh, he's a leading scientist in the city. He's a big scientist. Oh, I'm honored. Let him come. she brought him. And locked the door. Fortunately, her husband was there. She locked the door. I didn't know why she locked the door. And there were 2 chairs for them. I sat there. Said, she introduced my husband. I heard that he is a scientist. So I'm having a high opinion of him. The first thing she said, Swami, can you put some sense into him? I brought him that you may put some sense into him. I said, hang on. I heard that he is one of the leading scientists. That man is so a beautiful person. He's nodding. Yes, my wife is right. I said, what is right or wrong? This guy is a leading scientist. He's brilliant. Everything is there. Intelligence is flooding. Intellect, zero. She doesn't understand the difference. She says, this guy is an alcoholic. At the drop of the hat, he loses his temper. He can't control his temper, etc., etc. Now, who's an alcoholic? Anybody? Can tell me? I know you're all alcoholics, but what is an alcoholic? Who is an alcoholic? Huh? Don't point out persons. Who is an alcoholic? See, you and I and the alcoholic, all of us may have a demand for alcohol. We also like to have a glass of scotch. Today, Saturday, sit down, maybe we can go back and have. To have alcohol is not a problem. You could have 1, 2, 3 picks. Sometimes, somewhere you say, I think I had enough. But if that entity doesn't say that, you keep on having. It's the mind that demands alcohol. It's the mind that demands drugs. It's the mind that demands, you're not satisfied with a woman. You want other women. The mind demands. But the mind's demands have to be controlled by a superior equipment which is called the intellect. But if you don't develop the intellect, the mind takes over. You become an alcoholic, you become a smoker, you become a drug addict, you become a, I don't know, what all. So, he said, this fellow is an alcoholic and he loses his temper. His blood pressure is going up because he's losing temper, and his liver is packed up because he can't control his drinks. And yet he's a scientist, very, very intelligent. Therefore, friends, you have to develop, otherwise you lead a herd instinct. You just follow the herd. Whatever others do, you do. You go to primary school, you go to high school, you go to university, you get married, you get children, you get everything. Herd instinct. You just follow the herd. I'm not saying it's wrong. Whatever happens to the herd is happening to you. So therefore, the intellect has to be developed to do your business. You can't do business without an intellect. Intelligence you have, otherwise you won't start the business. You have the knowledge of medicine, you're a doctor, but to diagnose the disease you need an intellect. So therefore, friends, it's not that I'm saying, I'm quoting 2 persons. Galileo You heard of famous scientist Galileo and the famous thinker Albert Einstein. Einstein, what he says, Galileo says, see it on the board. I do not feel obliged to believe that the same God who has endowed us with sense, reason, and intellect has intended us to forego their use. Galileo. I don't understand. You're provided. Animals are not provided with the intellect. Plants are not provided with the intellect. Only human beings are provided. They don't develop it. Because your parents didn't develop it, because their parents didn't develop it, it's going on. And therefore, we are on the edge of disaster. I'm not a pessimist. At 92, if I can come and talk to you and nobody is listening to me, that's not pessimism. That's extreme optimism. So therefore, friends, that's what Galileo said. Listen to what Albert Einstein said. Intellectual growth should commence at birth and cease only at death. In other words, you got to keep developing the intellect. Otherwise, you're nowhere in the world. So in business, what you have to develop is an initiative to work. The entire business is run on incentives, not initiatives. Nobody has the initiative to work. Every guy sitting here, he could be a CEO of a company, he could be a student of a university. You want only to, what are you working for? Weekends and vacations. You're just working for weekends and vacations. The CEO, there may be a few CEOs sitting here, right from the top to the bottom, you're only looking for, today is Saturday. And shamelessly this country has produced that TGIF. What is that TGIF? Something ridiculous. I want to convert TGIF into TGIM. And the whole world is following. They're everywhere. In India, they say there's a TGIF restaurant has started. What is this TGIF? Thank God it's Friday. You don't want to work. I'm trying to prove the point. Nobody wants to work because you don't have the initiative to work. I love to talk to you. That's why I'm talking to you. It's not promoted by any other incentives. I don't want incentives. I'm not a model to follow. I'm just saying it's possible. At any age, you have the initiative to work. You don't have that. Therefore, all activities, all actions, all businesses are promoted by incentives. I'll give you this perk, I'll give you that, therefore you draw the people to work. If there is no incentives, nobody will work. So therefore, you got to understand the difference between initiative and incentives. Initiative you get when you have a higher ideal in life. My question is, what are you working for? Ask yourself, what are you working for? What am I working for now? It could be a selfish interest, myself, to get better name, fame, power, money, position, status. Or it could be to benefit as many people as possible. What are you working for? I can't think of a single person who works for anything other than himself. Maximum is family, my wife and children. So they are enlarging circles of interest. See it on the board. You could work for yourself. You could work for the family. Maximum you can think is family. As soon as you get anything big in the business or office, whatever it is, first person, you punch the number and say, darling, you know what happened today? I got this. You can think only family. And the family phones up the children wherever they are. And they say, you know what happened? We got this. You can't think beyond the family. It's okay. I'm not saying it's wrong. But then you don't have initiative. The only incentive is to work for the family. Work for the country. Work for the entire humanity. Work for enlarging circles, entire living beings. You know, statistics have got 2 billion animals are slaughtered every week. 2 billion animals. I don't care. That's your attitude. I don't care. As long as it's on the table. So are you working for yourself? Are you working for... I can't understand people having pets, cats and dogs and all this thing, and then in the dining table it appears there. I'm not criticizing, please. Tell you what's happening in the world. You don't care. You only care for yourself. And maximum you can think of wife and children. Can't think beyond that. Impossible. If you think beyond that, you're a great soul. Then you get the initiative. Any business is made up of action. It's just action. So if the action is perfect, your business is profitable, progressive. If the action is imperfect, you go down. So what is a perfect action? I've asked this question in all the business schools in this country. Not to talk about other countries, but in this country they invite me. Business schools. They believe in success, success. What is success? Success belongs to the future. If your action is perfect now, there'll be success in the future. If action is perfect, there'll be failure. So what is a perfect action? A perfect action is one which is driven by concentration, consistency, and cooperation. 3 C's. Remember that. Concentration, consistency, and cooperation. 3 C's to success. So what is concentration? Djokovic is from America? No. Who's from America? Tennis player. Yeah. Nobody. Oh, it doesn't matter. Where, which country? If that fellow Djokovic plays tennis 1 month, golf another month, football a 3rd month, and basketball 4th month, I can beat him. He has to be consistent in what he's doing. So whatever you do, you have to be consistent. So what is concentration? It's your mind that slips into the past or future. When I'm talking to you, I can see people thinking of something else. That's why I keep on changing, because this fellow's gone. That lady is following. For 3 minutes, maximum 4 minutes, she's gone somewhere. I find somebody else. It's very difficult to find the same fellow. So you think I have nothing else, I'm watching people. I'm not watching people, I'm just finding out who are attending. So the mind slips into the past or future, past, future, past, future. That tires you. That causes you the agitations in life. People ask me, what is that which agitates us? I'm stressed out. What is stress? Worries of the past, anxiety for the future. Worries of the past, anxiety for a university student thinks of just coming out successful. That's all he's interested in. Future, future. And he thinks about what happened in the past. Past, future, past, future. That tires you, that fatigues you. Your stress is nothing but worries of the past, anxiety for the future. And you can swallow bottles and bottles of the pills, it won't make a difference. The guy who's prescribing the pills himself suffers from that. In Australia, 2 guys who are experts on divorces. Divorces means advice on divorces. People go to him for advice. See, I'm divorcing. I've divorced twice, 3rd time is threatening me. And therefore advices. Both the guys are twice divorced. The fellows who are telling them, and because they came to me in Australia, I said, Swami, whatever you do, don't give our names, I'll lose my business. No, I won't give your names. But I'll definitely be using your expertise. And then you can say, as long as you don't give our names, twice divorced, both of them. And they are advising on divorce. And you go to them, pay X amount of money and go to them. Worries of the past, anxiety for the future. And then you have consistency. As I said, you must be consistent what you're doing. Anything that's consistent is powerful. Water flowing in one direction has hydroelectric power. Light focused in one direction has power. Wind blowing in one direction has power. You've got to be consistent what you're doing. You have concentration, consistency, and cooperation. Nobody is big, nobody is small. The management thinks they can't do without labor can't do without them. Labor thinks management can't do without labor, and both of them fight. Do you understand? Cooperate. If you practice all 3, you could be extremely successful in your business. You are successful because others are unsuccessful. You are a one-eyed man among the blind. Otherwise, it's not because you have applied this formula. You may say, Swami, I am a successful man, because others are not thinking at all. Not that you're thinking, whatever you do, you are successful. So this is as far as action is concerned. You need an intellect for that. As far as relationships are concerned, whole lifetime you got to relate and relate and relate. You got to relate to the weather. You got to relate to the people. You got to relate to the government. You got to relate to your partner. You got to relate to your children. You got to relate. Constant relationship. It's relationship. How do you handle it? You're stressed. People say, I'm stressed out. It's a less or more. I'm not a pessimist, please, because I don't know what stress is. And I'm talking on stress. I really don't know. I've never felt stress in my life, and I'm talking about it. So don't listen to me. No point. So, mind overpowering the intellect causes stress. Stress is internal. And every one of you believe it's external. It is something. If I have been in another university, I'll be better off, Swamiji. If I had a better wife, I'll be better off. If I had a more sensible husband, I'll be better off. If I had a neighbor, better off. Everything other than you. Nothing can disturb you except yourself. You are the architect of your fortune, you are the architect of your misfortune. You make yourself, you mar yourself, and you blame everything except yourself. It's not whom you meet in life, but how you meet. The young man went up to Socrates and said, Sir, you heard of Socrates, a great philosopher. A young man went up to him and said, Sir, I've decided to get married. I want your advice. He says, by all means get married. If you get a good wife, you'll be happy. If you get a bad one, you'll become a philosopher. That's what Socrates said. But to become a world-renowned philosopher, you must have a terrible wife. She's at home, my wife, listening to this lecture. 62 years married, yeah, same wife. 62 years. So, it's not whom you meet in life, but how you meet. That's important. Pick up a cigarette and smoke. One person gets great pleasure out of it. Another person detects, who's smoking here? Who's smoking here? No smoking. He can't stand smoke. One fellow finds pleasure in the cigarette, another fellow finds pain in the cigarette. Cigarette being the same produces pleasure to one, pain to other. Therefore, it's not in the external object, it's in the person. One fellow goes to divorce his wife. And he tells his lawyer, look here, it'll take at least 2 months. Look here, if you can make it faster, I'll pay you 10 times more. I want to get rid of this woman. Another fellow goes to his lawyer, when is he going to divorce? 2 months, no, please. I want to marry her immediately. One guy wants to get rid of the woman, another wife wants the same woman. Woman being the same produces pleasure to one, pain to another. Cigarette being the same produces pleasure to one, pain to another. Therefore, it's not in the external objects. It's not in the external people. It's in you. How you meet life. So it's the intellect that sets the relationships right. So you've got to use your intellect. First of all, relationships. You have to, in any relationship with your partner, domestic or office relationship, corporate relationship, whatever relationship, first of all you've got to understand, use your intellect, understand the nature of the person. A husband keeps on complaining, this is my wife, this is my wife, what to do with it? The wife keeps on complaining about the husband, this is, and there's a boom. after a while you can't handle it. You got to understand, wife drinks. Not heavily, sometimes in a weekend he drinks. Once you understand, there's no problem. It's called swadharma. Swa means one's own, dharma means nature. You can't stay away from your swadharma. Why does one person choose medicine, another person choose engineering, another person chooses law? You go to a restaurant, a fellow, different people choose different things. Why? According to their own liking. So a wife will do what is her swadharma, nature. Swadharma means nature. Husband will do according to his nature, but you want him to behave differently from what he is, and the husband wants the wife to behave differently from what she is. It's madness. It's absolutely madness. And that's why, boom. One person understands this, no problem. A guy invites me to his house. I go there. The wife is all the time complaining, he's drinking. One day I caught him alone because he gone there to buy something for the meal. Give me a meal sometimes. I called him, a nice fellow. I said, why do you keep bugging your wife, man? She always complains, you drink. Swamiji, I won't lie to you, I don't drink so much. Once in a way, when I'm tired from an office, when I come back and there's so many problems, I like to have a glass or two of scotch, and it soothes me. But this lady comes and sits next to me and say, you're drinking. I poured a few more pegs, I'm okay. I can't even listen to her. She causes him to drink. The guy doesn't drink, so you're complaining. The guy drinks. I'm not condoning drinks, neither am I against for or against, but I'm just saying each one's nature. You play tennis, he plays golf. No, because I play tennis, you must play tennis with me, or he says, I play golf, you must play golf with me. Come on. That's the friction. He always plays golf, and she plays tennis. You go to the lawyer for a separation. This is madness. I'm magnifying it so that you can understand. Each one has got his own. See, there's a lady from Germany. Actually, a man from Germany had a problem with the lady, he said. 20 years of marriage, it was rocking. He phoned from Germany and said, I want to meet you. I said, what about? He told me, 20 years of marriage, now it's getting difficult. And she's also finding it difficult. I don't want to lose my wife. And I don't think she wants to lose me, but we are on the verge of friction, you know. So he came from Germany. And he told me, number one, she does this. How can I handle this? She's wrong. She does this. She's wrong. She does this. 6, 7. In the first instance itself, I know what the guy is. I know the solution, but I have to listen to his crap. Otherwise, he thinks I'm not listening, you know. I said, okay. "45 minutes of listening. Painful, you know. I know the solution, but he won't let me talk. And afterwards, he's exhausted. What do you do with such a person? I said I would divorce her. What? My friend told me to go to you and you will save the marriage and you are saying divorce. I said, listen, you say you did this, you are right and she's wrong. You did that, she's right, you are right, she's wrong. Did that, this happened, you are right, she's wrong. 7 things you are right and 7 things she's wrong. What do you do with a person? Get rid of her, man. Swami, please, where have I gone wrong? You're not gone wrong. She has not gone wrong. You are expecting something which you ought not to expect. That's where you've gone wrong. She plays tennis, you play golf. For heaven's sake, you play golf, let her play tennis. You want her to play golf. It's as simple as that. So, what do? He is asking me. I understood. Everything, you are right, she is wrong. Everything, you are right, she is wrong. 7 items. When I gave the instances, he was very impressed because he thought I had switched off. Oh, this man is listening. He was very impressed. Okay, now I tell you something. It may be difficult, but you follow that, you will have no problem. I'm telling you people also, if you have problems, I'm not creating problems. She's doing this, you're doing that, whatever it is. There's a difference. From today onwards, if you possibly think, perhaps she could be right and I could be wrong. Perhaps. What's wrong with that? Because all the time he's saying, I'm right, she's wrong. I'm right, she's wrong. I'm right. Perhaps she could be right, I could be wrong. Just entertain the thought. Number 1. Number 2, at any cost, no confrontation. I'm sick and tired of you. I'm also sick and tired of you. You shut up, you shut up. Nobody shuts up. Confrontation. One hand cannot make a noise. You need the confrontation. It's difficult to keep quiet. But inside you'll be boiling, boiling, boiling till she comes, boom. You let it go. No. Inside also calm. Let us hear what she likes. So therefore, understand this, that I could be wrong. She perhaps is right. And then at any cost, no confrontation. There cannot be any misunderstanding. Impossible. So these 2 things is called assessment. You've got to assess your partner in business, at home, your children. One fellow is this way, another child is this way. There's no point in saying she, number 2 should be like number 1 should be. It's not possible. You can't be different from what you are. So therefore, accept, assess and accept. No confrontation, there cannot be any problem. So therefore, as far as children are concerned, it's a total mess. Nobody can afford to have children. And all of you have children. 3, 4, 5, 6, goes on. I'm not against children, please. I don't think anybody has the capacity to bring up the children. You don't have. I know you don't have. There's always conflict. They wait for their wings to grow, off they're flying. They're just playing time. They want a time. Till they get educated, get a job, and say bye-bye. Exactly what you have done. Because you keep on hovering around them, telling, do this, do this, do this. Have this, don't have this, don't have this. Good. Where are you going? What are you doing? Hovering around them all that time. You don't let the children live their life. And therefore, they don't know what's happening, but inside it's all building up. So you have to understand that each child has his or her own way of functioning. You can't keep on telling them, do this, do this, do this, don't do this, don't do this. All that you do is don't do, don't do, don't do, do. And if you keep hovering like that, children either become a rebel or a vegetable. You see throughout the world, but you don't have eyes to see. You can't judge. I know a lady who has 2 sons, grew up, they are 45 plus. Both of them, one is a vegetable, another is a rebel. She doesn't understand. Why are they behaving? She comes and asks me. First time I told her, now I don't tell her. I said, yes, that's their life. What can I do? Hovering, telling them. Both are unmarried. They don't want to marry. They don't want to do anything. Vegetable means no action, no reaction. They don't do anything. So every parent is hovering around the children. Do this, don't do this, do this, do this. And they believe they are right. Relationship. Now how to deal with the children? Vegetable means they don't act, they don't react to anything. It's like dead wood. So, how do you deal with the children? You got to set an example. If you are not disciplined and expect your children to be disciplined, it will not work. If you are disciplined and then shut up, don't give them any advice. Advice must be sought, not given. I have about 100 children there in the academy. I don't tell them what. Of course, there is a curriculum. They follow, they follow. They don't follow, it's their problem. If I don't get up at 4 o'clock, the clock is set at 4 o'clock there, and we go on till 9:30. If I don't do it and expect them to do it, it won't work. I do it and I don't know what they're doing. If you ask me, really I don't know. It's done for 32 years now. Going on perfectly. So, no do's and don'ts. No thou shalt and thou shalt not. It will not work. You set the example and not tell them. That's the method. Abraham Lincoln in this country, what did he say? There's just one way to bring up a child. In the way that he should go. You want to bring up a child, Abraham Lincoln said, and that is to travel that way yourself. You have to travel that way if you want the children to go. You have to be disciplined. You want them to wake up early, you got to wake up. You want them to do exercise, you got to do exercises. You can't laze in bed and ask them to go and exercise. So, lead the way, said Abraham Lincoln. Albert Einstein also belongs to this country, right? I'm telling you what this country has produced. What did he say? Setting an example is not the main means of influencing others. It's not, you can't call it as the main way. It is the only means. That's the only way. Albert Einstein. So you don't believe me, you don't care for what I say, but you'll definitely care for what Albert Einstein says, Abraham Lincoln says. Follow him. So you got to set the example. and not sermonize. All you do is sermonize and sermonize and sermonize, and you don't do anything to lead the way. It's a terrible thing to do to your children. So therefore nobody knows. You're innocent. I don't blame you. You just know how to produce children, that's all. That's all by the dozens. You don't know how to take care of them. Lastly, what example to set? What is the example you set? First of all, you must educate them on giving, not taking. It's not easy to give. I written to, what's this fellow? Doing a lot of charity in this country. Bill Gates, correct. Bill Gates and Warren Buffett have started a campaign. They got 40 fellows to give charity. I told them, what is charity? I wrote to all the guys, 40 fellows. Only one fellow replied. I said, read my letter again. I told him to read the letter again. He did not understand. Khalil Gibran says, what is charity? What is to give? You should not give because you have a pleasure in giving. Some people here may like to give. They have a great pleasure in giving. They give. No. You should not get pleasure. You should not do it because of pleasure. You should not give because it's painful to you. No pleasure, no pain. Third thing he says, you should not give mindfulness of virtue. You're mindful that you're doing a virtuous deed. No pleasure out of it, no pain out of it, no pleasure, no mindfulness of virtue. How the heaven do you give? He describes it's something fabulous. You must give like the myrtle. It's a plant which gives beautiful fragrance. Myrtle. Like the myrtle in the yonder valley, not here. You don't smell it. The yonder valley releases its fragrance into space. You must give like the myrtle in the yonder valley releases its fragrance into space. I don't know whether we have that. Oh yes. There are those who give and know not the pain in giving. Nor do they seek joy. Nor give with mindfulness of virtue. Then how should they give as in yonder valley the myrtle breathes its fragrance into space? If you read that, you'll stop giving. You don't know how to give. So you must learn to give. Recently I went to buy a tower fan with two of my students. I said, how much is it? He said, 3,800. I said, do you bargain? Sir, I don't bargain. If you want to bargain is out. You don't. I said, I like to bargain a little bit. Bargain, what bargain you want? Would you like to make it 400? Then he came down and said, sir, please. It is 380. You pay 380, you take the fan. So I like to make it 400. 400 is more. I don't know if it's more or less. can I pay 400? He didn't answer. I paid 400, took the fan. The fellow followed me to the car park. Who's this specimen? Come from some planet. It gives them so much joy. When I've told this to so many people around the world, it gives you, all of you start laughing. Because it's not your money. You laugh when you give your money. That is good. So therefore, give, not take. What example to set? I'm giving a full example. Serve, not aggrandise. Serve the people. Can I be of some service to you? I'm talking in an environment which doesn't know this. I know you don't know this. To serve, to sacrifice. Can I be? Any society that's built on duties flourishes. Any society that's built on rights perishes. This entire society here, Europe, England, is built on rights. This is my right. I married you. You better do this for me. I got into partnership with you. You better do it for me. The moment you insist on rights, you perish. Any society that's built on duties, this is my duty, never claim rights, flourishes. This is a law. I can't change it, you can't change it. What example to give, to serve, to sacrifice. Then one last thing is you've got to practice pure love. The entire world is stuck with attachment. There is no such thing as love. You say, I love my wife, I love my children, I love my dog, I love my neighbor. You can go on saying, everybody says he loves. There's no love. There's only attachment. You're attached to your wife, you're attached to your children, attached to your wealth, you're attached to your business. There's no love. What's the difference between love and attachment? Love plus selfishness equals attachment. So all your love is selfish. You see it on the board. Love plus selfishness equals attachment. Attachment minus selfishness equals love. So therefore, your home should be the center of your affection. The home has become the boundary of your affection. Home should be the center. It must go further and further and further. Khalil Gibran says, people become attached. Marriage is a temple that stands on two pillars. If the pillars get too close, the temple collapses. You get too close. Marriage is like a temple resting on two pillars. If they come too close to each other, the temple will collapse. Khalil Gibran. So therefore, friends, to govern your business, to improve your business, to optimize your business, you need an intellect. To set your relationships right in this world, you need an intellect. So the whole thing boils down to how to build an intellect. I have a school near Mumbai, but that's meant for youngsters. All of you are disqualified. So I'm not appealing to you. But the last 2 years, we have developed a e-learning program. Same thing is now available in the, visual, audio, You can plug it in and see it in your laptop or your TV. It's available. It's called e-learning. You can inquire, and at least a few people who are inspired, who want to develop their intellect, there's no other way. You've got to get that e-learning going. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.